number 3. This time we're going to leave the grid and the axes on, and right now the axes are the same distance from 1 on the x-axis, the same as the distance to 1 on the y-axis. But if we hold the shift key down, now I can stretch the y-axis so it's taller or shorter. If I want to bring it back to being square, I can right-click when I'm hanging over the axis, and we're going to set this back to the ratio of 1 to 1. We can also just click and drag anywhere, so we can grab the axes and move it around. So for the first task, we're going to create some points, and there's some ways to create a point just by clicking here. But we can also make it so that when we click, it snaps to a grid mark, a lattice point. And so we can go to this menu and click on this, which means that right now the objects are going to be stuck to the grid. It'll be snapped. But another way to be accurate when you're creating a point, instead of using the point tool, is just type in the point here. So let's enter the point 4, 5, and it made a point at 4, 5, and it labeled it A. We can do the same thing but also give it a name. So we're going to create a point, and I'll call it B equals 7, 3. In this case, it would have labeled it 7, 3 anyway. It would have labeled it B anyway, because it's the next letter, just goes sequentially. And let's do another point at 1, 0, and this time I'm going to click. And by the way, you can see where it's going to snap. So I made the point C just by clicking. So now we have our 3 points, and you can see the points, how they're defined here, and you can actually, if you need to, go back and type in things over again and change the location of the points. So now we're going to do what we did before, and I'm going to hold the shift key down and we'll move the y-axis. Is this what you expected to see? In this lab, and by the way, I'll reset it. I'll hit the right click and reset the ratio to 1 to 1. So in this lab, there are some questions that you should answer by putting text in a text box. So this underneath this menu and underneath this button here is a place where you can put text. And so you could pick a spot, let's say a little bit out of the way, and let's say G, the answer to the question is, what happens to point A, B, and C? And you can type your answer there. Okay, so we will have text boxes for all the questions in this lab. So now we're going to make a polygon for A, B, and C, and see if the polygon has some any special properties. So there we go. What type of triangle does it appear to be? Again, we could use the text box and type the answer here. I'm going to cancel, I'll let you do that. And we should probably check to see if our guess is right. And one way to check is we're going to see if there's anything special about the angles in this triangle. So with the angle tool, the way you can calculate an angle, there are a couple different ways. Let me show you the easiest. If you have a polygon, you can click on the polygon and it finds all the angles for you. I'm going to undo that and show you other ways. Sometimes you won't have a polygon and you'll need to measure an angle different ways. So I can click on the 3 different points, just like angle this. I'm measuring angle A, B, C, and it does that. Let me undo that and show you something else. If I do this angle C, B, A, do you notice it measures the outside angle, which is the wrong way around? The idea is that you should go clockwise, A, B, C, but it's not that hard to just undo and pick the numbers, pick the vertices in a different order. You can also pick the measurement between 2 angles just by clicking on one segment, the other segment, and it finds the angle between them. So those are 3 ways to find the angles. So once again, must have done it the wrong order. And there we go. So we could use this information to answer the question of whether this information does validate our guess on what that triangle is. And that is Lab 3.